Okay, well, good morning all and welcome to the Standing Committee meeting for Budget Committee meeting, for the 6th of May. I'd like to now open the meeting with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Okay, we do have leave of absence. Councillor Henshin is away today. He made us aware of that some weeks ago as he's working in preparing for Burren Down today. So I'll move that leave of absence be accepted. We have a second. Councillor Jones. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Councillor Duff is an apology. She will be late this morning as she had another event to go to on the way, but she will be here later in the morning. So we might just acknowledge that as an apology for the start of the meeting. Thanks, Bree. In terms of our recognition of traditional owners, I'd just like to now recognise the traditional owners and the land upon which we meet today, being the Waka Waka people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Okay, do we have any declarations of conflict of interest in relation to today's agenda? No? Okay, well if not, we'll move on. The first item is the confirmation of the minutes from the last meeting held on the 8th of April 2022. Now they're at page 5. It's recommended the minutes of the Budget Committee meeting held on the 8th of April 2022 be received. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, second. Councillor Jones. Speakers? Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, the next item is 6.1 at page 13, adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Revenue Policy 2223, Statutory 005, that is at 13, where the recommendation is that the committee recommend to Council that the South Burnett Regional Council Revenue Policy 2223, Statutory 005 be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded. Councillor Shoemaker. Speakers? Mr. CEO, anything to bring to our attention in relation to that, or General Manager? General Manager Jarvis, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. This revenue policy is a requirement, an annual adopted policy prior to the setting of your budget, and it just sets out the parameters of giving us the power there for our rating to set our rates and also concessions there within our budget parameters. But it's a statutory document, and it leads into our revenue statement that details every level of fees or charges that we're levying. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. Further speakers? We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 6.2, adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Investment Policy 2022-23, Statutory 009, can be found at 13. Thank you, General Manager.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Again, this is an annual adopted policy required for adoption, part of our budget parameters, and it outlines our investment strategy there, where we invest any cash there with institutions such as QTC or Commonwealth Bank that have the rating category, and our Manager of Finance and Sustainability is our delegated investment officer to minimise risks and to look at all of the risks associated with the investment of the cash for Council.
Thank you, General Manager. Of course, sorry, that is at page 21. The policy itself is at 23. So it's recommended that that the committee recommend to Council the South Burnett Regional Council Revenue Investment Policy 2223, Statutory 009 be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded. Councillor Potter. Speakers? We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 6.3, draft 2223 budget for water and wastewater. Now that's at page 30. And just in terms of our process today, so we have been through a workshop on this, and where Manager Lowe has given us quite a detailed explanation in relation to the line items. What I'd be suggesting, committee, is that we have a broad look at the proposal today, looking at the subtotals on each of the key categories, excluding employee benefits, which of course will be addressed later in our budget committee meetings. So we're just going to ask, I thought we'd ask Manager Lowe today to just go through the subtotals in each major grouping. And if councillors have any questions on detail, Tim, then we'll ask those questions of you. So no need to work through the detail. Just give us the summary, and if we have questions, we can put those to you through the course of the process. So I thought we might just move through that discussion. Once we've had that discussion, we can then look to put a motion up out on the floor. So Tim, we'll hand over to you. Give us the broad overview, and we'll work through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just wait till they get the summary screen up for me. So if we could just go over a little bit, Kira, to the left. That's it, yeah. Okay, so as you can see there, Mayor, as presented last time, there is no changes in the materials, consultants, contractors, or the plant. Everything remains the same. As explained last time, I have tried to keep the rises minimal. I noted that you expressed that maybe it's a bit ambitious, but I believe we try to be ambitious, and if it comes off, it'll be good, good result. Having said that, we are a business unit, so our long-term plan is to have some surplus so that we can actually fund our capital works into the future. So there's actually no significant changes other than those. So the rises for the materials was 2.8%. The consultants, it looks a high rise of 185%, but in actual fact, it's just gone from 35,000 to 100,000. And the reason for that is the comprehensive inspection for the Gordonbrook Dam, which is a regulatory thing that we must do. So we've got no option, and you need to engage dam specialists, which there is only limited dam specialists in a whole of Australia, really. So that's the reason for that. We've had in the wastewater, so the plant, that's just to cover our operational costs as what is happening for us this year. So it's just our plant utilisation is up. The contractor services, it's a slight fall of 1.58%. And again, it's a best guesstimate of where I think we are at this point in time. That's for the water. The wastewater, the materials, the rise is 4.3%. And the, excuse me, man, the rise is a combination of several things. You've got your materials and your pipes, materials across, pipes and fittings across water and wastewater have, by the end of May, will have had a cumulative increase of about 40% this year, which is quite significant. And then yeah, I have been. Sorry.
Yeah, so you're talking 40%, and the expected increases are going to continue for quite some time into the next year. So again, your materials costs, are you sure that I know you said ambitious, but are you sure, confident that this can be done? Because I don't want to see you get 6 months into it and say, oh, geez, we need another $1 million or whatever, you know? Yeah,
appreciate that, Deputy Mayor. I believe the way we operate, we can do that, and I keep I do every Monday I actually run a budget for water and wastewater, so I know what my position is every week. Bear in mind, this is my operational budget, so I'm actually budgeting for a surplus. So I have actually got, I think it is, just bear with me for a second. I am budgeting for a 400,000 surplus to go towards our capital. So I have got some room to move inside that without actually coming back to council and saying, I'd have to advise council of this, of course, but it's not like that we have to increase our rates revenue. And this is based on, at this current point in time, on our current income. So with it, no projected increase. So it should be okay, I think.
If your fees go up, you'll have a better
Bit of surplus. Yeah, that's
okay.
correct.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So largely everything's unchanged except for the 2 additional positions in the water and wastewater treatment plants because of the risk of staffing numbers there is a high risk to the organisation. So that's the additional change from 3 weeks ago. Is there any questions on those?
Thanks very much, Tim. That's a really good overview, and thanks for the work you've done. And obviously, you monitor that very closely week by week. So that's a great standard you set, and also to try and mitigate those rises. That's very much appreciated. Thank you. Are we happy now to just probably? Do we want to work through the totals in each of the categories, or what's the appetite of the committee in terms of detail here?
Would it be fair to say that summary that you've just given there with what you're saying, yet nothing's changed since the last presentation? The rest of it will be pretty much straightforward, and it'll come to what you've just given us. It'll match up with the bottom.
Absolutely. If we wanted to go line for line, there's about 15 to 2,000 lines items in this budget. But I can certainly do that. But that's in your printout there, and you'll notice on the side I've got actual commentary against my line items that I can control. So I've done that all the way through the spreadsheet. So yeah, quite happy to go wherever you want to, Manny.
I think let's get this one out on the floor. So it's recommended that the committee receive the proposed 22-23 draft budget for the water and wastewater departments and provide guidance for inclusion in the continued preparation of the full South Burnett Regional Council 22-23 annual budget as amended. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Shoemaker. We'll now go to speakers. Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excellent work, Tim. Honestly, really do value how you monitor and check and watch your budget. You're always absolutely on it. I just wanted to check, I'm quite happy with the detail in the presentation that we had previously, but I was just reading through some of the detail here. Just had a question around, I noticed every water supply area has, in your materials budget, has an amount for licenses and telecommunication. And I know you're a separate business unit, so my understanding is you pay an admin recruitment fee for your administration usage of council facilities. Those licenses, from what I remember, were related specifically to the plant. I just wanted to confirm and check that, if you can, for me. Sorry.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, absolutely correct, Councillor. So because we are a separate business unit, any software, mobile phones or anything like that, we actually pay for those wholly and solely. We pay an admin recruitment to the organisation for our administration. The software that you're talking about in the licenses, they are spread across all the business units. So we have several types of Scada licensing. You've got you buy the Scada, then you've got to pay an operation fee, and then you have a specialist organisation that runs those SCADAs, and yeah, it's very, very complex. So you'll see that there's line items all the way through, and that's how we try to spread the load on the budget so that every sub-business unit is paying their way. So, each town is paying a portion of those overall costs. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I guess I was just thinking maybe General Manager Susan, just sort of thinking about the discussions we've had with, and I understand you're a business unit, so you're different to an area of council as such. I'm just wondering with that admin recruitment charge, like, should that be covering those licenses as well, or are we happy to sort of keep these separate for each business unit? Like, I'm just trying to think about the consistency across our business units and what we've been doing through the operation itself in trying to compile them so that there's one team, one management, ensuring, checking over, because you're absolutely right, Tim, it's quite complex, all those license and software arrangements. So an owner of that for council, and I'm wondering whether, you know, into the future, whether we should be looking at having a management of that function in council that then is charged back to you accordingly at that whatever rate. Am I making sense?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So, sorry, Councillor, if I understand the question, just how we're operating now is like Tim was saying, that because they're a separate business unit, they're responsible for their own costs and that, including software licensing and that. And we then do the admin recoupments because, like, you know, budgeting and paying creditors and debtors. So that's what we charge that back to the business unit for the use of council's staff to support that. So what you're saying is that because we're putting all the software licenses there, compiling that into one thing with ICT, are you saying that we take it out of business, out of water, and put that into our general operations as well? Is that what you're saying? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering because we've done it with a lot of the other departments where because, you know, of the opportunity to, I understand they're different licenses, different agreements, and the importance of them. I'm absolutely across that. I guess I'm just thinking about like that longer term management of all that software for council in terms of getting best value for money, somebody responsible.
If I could, before Pete, maybe I could just address this one for you, Councillor. So once council hits 10,000 metres, we then potentially go into a full cost recovery environment. Now, in advance of doing that, what we need to ensure is that we're tracking all of the costs related to the delivery of those services. So software costs and IT costs will be part of that. And so at the moment, that specific software that relates 100% directly to that service delivery is not caught in the admin recoupment. So I think you'd find that we would be legislatively required to track those costs because they're not an overhead, they're a direct cost. Otherwise, we'll have to, if we bring them across into the pool, we'll have to back them out once we go to full cost recovery, and we're very close to that. So I think we're better off to leave them where they are, because otherwise we could create a real headache for ourselves. Now, I understand that in different departments it's different, but when it comes to water particularly, we're going to have to be really careful on this space. So I think what we're doing now is probably the appropriate mechanism moving forward in advance of full cost recovery. General Manager O'May, did you want to add anything to that?
Can't turn the... yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. No, you've explained it. That's, I was just going to say that they were specific licences for the water branch, so those costs related to that rather than the whole organisation. Our other IT costs, whether it be Microsoft, would go across the organisation, but those specific licences are only required for that business unit.
If I may, just a broad history lesson is that what you're saying there, Council, is exactly how it used to happen back when bears were bad. But then when we started having to do all this reporting, we actually have to be able to tell the regulator what our cost units per water is, and it also aids council in actually the proper cost recovery, because if those items are hidden in the general budget, then you're actually effectively subsidising the water costs or the sewage costs. So you should actually be able to track your volumetric usage and cost so that you can set your budget for that. And that's how it come about. So in the last 20 years, those type of things have come out of the general budgets and put into the business units so that actually can say, hand on heart, this is how much water costs us each year. that helps.
General Manager Jarvis.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. I'm just assuming, councillor, that you were really just looking more for a process to say, why can't we, can we consolidate it there and chip the things back? Yeah, so it's probably been explained, but
Exactly
that's
what I'm thinking
yes, that's what
around the
yeah.
opportunities, because we've had such a giant investment in our business systems and we've got such an team of support there. I guess I'm looking at this sort of thinking about the functionality of it. I completely understand the competitive neutrality and the challenges we face when we hit that full cost recovery. I think it's just a worthy conversation, good understanding. So thank you for the context. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, further speakers? We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 6.4, draft 22-23 budget for waste. That is at 33. Again, we've had a workshop on this one, General Manager O'May. So if you could give us the high-level overview as a starting point, that'd be great. Thanks, Peter.
Actually, have you got the income statement or? Through you, Mr Mayor. So these just might be just to start with the income statement on this one, just those high level changes. So you can see on the revenue side, we've have increased revenue in this business unit based on performance. Certainly this year, things like scrap steel prices have certainly helped with really strong steel prices. So we've had an increase there. Waste disposal income. This can be impacted by the works that are going on. So if there's large construction works, we get a lot of that demolition waste that can sort of impact this. We had a house burnt down that come in the other day, which will be quite a substantial fees on that. Those projects do impact, but based on sort of previous years and prediction, we have been able to increase those fees. The rates we have modelled while we these are based on more an escalation rather than the actual predicted model, as the council's still going through that with the rate setting. So we've just included for indication based on previous actuals and just a small increase in that. We do, as you get new properties coming on in the waste services, you do see slight increases in there. We certainly have revenue. The other problem of note in revenue is we have got in the waste unit we have got a grant application in at the moment under the LGGSP with state government, $250,000 for the climate change, waste management and climate change strategy. So you will see it's a $250,000 project. So there's $150,000 of that is that grant funding. So it's a 60-40 split. So you'll have so 150,000 extra is shown in there as the for that, and there is also the illegal dumping grant. So we've got the waste officer there that was a specific project with Cherbourg and North Burnett. We've got that grant. Each of the councils got specific grants, so we've actually got that officer for our own operations, and Cherbourg and North are getting their own. So we've extended that program. So that's why you've certainly got that grant funding. And down below the line, so the offsets are increments. I think the wages will in this one there will be the impact of that grants office, which is offset by the illegal dumping grant. And certainly the big one in the services is the impact of $250,000 for that waste strategy. Going through the business unit, we've tried basically try keep our materials and services costs constrained where they are, so that they're no worse than the previous year. Similar to water and wastewater, this is a standalone business unit, so any surpluses do go back into funding future capital. Our position ends up, we're predicting to be $76,000 increase in surplus on last year, so surplus of 111,000. So it is an improved position, and that is also taken into account. So that grant, because it's only 60% funded, if we do that project, there is $100,000 of council money in that. So that surplus would have been, say, 211,000 if that grant, because it's not completely offset. So yeah, it is is probably a better position than previous year. And yeah, waste. So there is some black magic that the finance team do with finance costs and the unwinding of discounts and that. So those costs have, depending on interest rate movements and that. So they've been kept at similar rates. So they'll be calculated when we get closer to the budget, or so they're I think Kerry just predicted us to stay the same, so you don't. But they're really, we're at the impact of the market. They're not things that we can control, those costs. So that's probably the overall position of the waste unit.
Thanks very much, General Manager O'May. Bree, would we be able to just get the motion, the recommendation up on the screen, if we could, thanks. And then we'll get this out for discussion. Yep. Okay. So we'll deal with the first recommendation. Two recommendations of the CEO. We do them independently. Yep. Okay. So first recommendation: the committee receive the proposed 22-23 draft budget for the Waste Department and provide guidance for inclusion in the continued preparation of the full South Burnett Regional Council 22-23 annual budget as amended. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded Councillor Jones. Okay. Speakers? No? Okay, let's go to the vote on this one. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. The next item, the final recommendation, is that a report be brought to the Budget Standing Committee to detail the potential savings as discussed in the salary component of the Waste Department's budget, and that this process be extended to all departments in this current budget deliberation cycle. Mr. CEO, would you like to give us an introduction to that? Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. And we skipped it in the last one as well, but we thought if we could do both of these together, it just gives us a head of power, but the imprimatur to bring back all those wages reports. So we're treating every department, certainly utilising water and wastewater. We're looking to fill a couple of vacancies there because they're essential services, but it just puts it all in together in the same review. So it's every department's treated consistently. So there's the two, one for water and wastewater and one for waste. If we could deal with those, please, Mayor, that would be really appreciated.
Can we blend those into the one motion, Mr. CEO? Or do you want to have two?
Could I be fussy and have two?
No, absolutely.
We've done one
No.
for every department, so it just keeps it consistent, if that may, please.
Yeah, I value your commitment to due process and consistency. So we've got the first one there. So let's go back. We'll deal with this one first in relation to water and wastewater. So I'll read that again. So the recommendation is that a report be brought to the Budget Standing Committee to detail the potential savings as discussed in the salary component of the Water and Wastewater Department's budget, and that this process be extended to all departments in this current budget deliberation cycle. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Potter. Speakers? Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. And the second part of today's meeting is in relation to the Waste Department, where the recommendation is that a report be brought to the Budget Standing Committee to detail the potential savings as discussed in the salary component of the Waste Department's budget, and that this process be extended to all departments in this current budget deliberation cycle. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Potter. Speakers? Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. That now brings the meeting to a close at 9:33 a.m. Thank you all for your participation, and have an enjoyable rest of the day. Thank you.